Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host Hamza Chowdhury, and welcome to today's daily stock recap. It is Wednesday, February 24th, and the markets try to come back. We had sort of a mixed day, started off a little bit in the red, thought it might be a continuation of yesterday, and then the stocks held pretty well. The NASDAQ turned positive, the S&P turned positive, the Dow was positive. So there's just a lot of good news, but it's still a mixed day. We had some pretty significant, downturn yesterday in the market. So a lot of if you had longs essentially prior to yesterday, there's still a chance that you might be in the red. But we had some solid comebacks and definitely want to spend some time in this video to just kind of go through them with you. Before I do so, I just want to thank you guys. I noticed that we had a tremendous amount of likes on yesterday's video, and we sort of beat a record, and it was just, I think it was like a like for every 10 views, which was super awesome. So I just want to personally thank you guys for watching the video, for enjoying it. That helps me understand the content that's valuable to you, and any feedback that you have as always is appreciated. So as always guys, thank you again for your support. And originally, when you sort of have these support levels, we talk about how support levels can turn into resistance, and that's no different than Apple. And so prior to the flush come on Monday, I mentioned on my Monday recap video that normally when we flush the market and we come back, we usually hold a level and continue a positive trend if there's a trend reversal. And 127.50 shown here in a thick red line, and it used to be in a thick green line because it's our heavy support for Apple. And what I said was it came back to that support, but it failed again. And going into Monday, prior to this massive, crash in the market, I actually mentioned that this concerned me for more downside bear momentum for Apple because we couldn't hold the key level. Okay. And so yesterday we had this gap fill. Okay. So we had the market crash. We had a gap fill right here, which is basically filling in where we closed and where we opened. And then you can see today, right? So clearly 127.50 shouldn't be considered a support anymore when it's clearly showing us from the chart that it's acting like as a resistance. Okay, so again, to get back from 127.50 from down 118 yesterday, yeah, that's a great comeback, but there's still a chance, like I said, if you were trading prior to Monday, that you might still be in the red. And so as always, I mentioned, guys, Apple's a solid stock. I don't expect any negative momentum or any issues to come up with it. I think it's going to be a great long-term play. But it's just it's just trading sideways now. Okay, so we've definitely identified a 127.50, and we've had a couple of bounces now on this level here at 122, around 121.50. And so, we need to essentially break the 127.50 to start kind of getting back into our support levels and into the 130s. And so everything above 127.50 now is a resistance line. The heavy resistance is going to be 127.50. And, if we continue to see the market kind of rebound, and I mentioned yesterday, instead of a slow and grindy, all these negative days, we had this massive flush. And I think we got a lot of people out of a lot of trades, and we got a lot of new buyers in. So hopefully you guys are catching some of that momentum. Hopefully you added to your shares if you got this flush down here, which was an awesome buying opportunity. And like I said, I just expect that Apple, which traded at all-time highs up here, you guys, there's funds and they rotate, and they see that a stock's trading at all-time high. There's not much you can do with it. And keep in mind, Apple is a massive $2 trillion company, and it takes a lot to push that stock up. And so if you are already trading at all-time highs, there's nothing wrong with taking your profits and going into a different index, like currently it's Bitcoin, right? That's been the hot index, or SPACs. And so don't be surprised when you see these massive pullbacks, and they're just good buying opportunities. So again, profit take here. If you're riding this momentum, 10-15% profits, you can always take out a portion of your shares and you can just rebuy them when you get these discounts. Okay, so you continuously are paying yourself, which we don't talk enough about on this channel. You got to pay yourself, and then you can buy this back. Okay, the worst thing you can do is just not do anything. And I mentioned someone who watched the channel, and the new subscriber, thank you so much for pointing this out, which was, I'm a day trader, because this is my problem, right? Is I buy something a few months ago, or even a year ago, not necessarily a year ago, but maybe 6 months ago, and I'm trading at all-time highs, and then I come back 6 months later, my portfolio hasn't changed a bit. However, there were so many shorts and longs that we could have taken along the way. Okay, so that's why I'm a day trader. In no way am I short biased on Apple at all. I think it's the best company out there to be investing in. Okay, so again, solid bounce on that 118 level that we have here in the blue line. And so we'll continue to see upward momentum, and definitely, like I said, I expect us to get back to the 50, which is the 132. Okay, so we want to break the 127.50. We want to hold it, and then the next level will definitely get us back right up here in the 50. and we should be okay as the market rebounds, okay, away from tech. Tesla, probably the best play I would say that we called yesterday. Guys, you've who've watched this channel for quite some time, yesterday's recap, I mean, you can watch it. We said that 695 was going to be the strongest support for Tesla, and that was our go heavy prior to this flush. It was our call way back here that 695 was going to be the strongest support to go heavy on Tesla. And today, as you can see here, the low was $694.17. Okay, so we're essentially 85 cents away, or 83 cents away from calling the bottom. And in yesterday's recap, I mentioned that this bounce off at 695 would be solid, and it gave, the market gave us what we wanted. So we had this market, this gap fill again from where we opened today, which was a little bit higher. We had this gap fill at 695. We closed at 698 yesterday, and we just had the strong bounce. And now, guys, just keep in mind where we closed on Monday, right? Where we were around 714, I believe it was, right here. We closed at 714.50. So we're actually trading above where we were before even the crash. So this is a great sign for Tesla longs. So first thing I see again is my big resistance, which is again a previous support for us, which was 775, right? We talked about 775 back here, and we got almost here as a support, and then we of course flush. So to me, the 50-day and the 775 are pretty much in line. So I really expect that Tesla will get to 775. That'll be the major resistance. And then, like I said, if we get back into some bullish momentum with Tesla, excuse me, as this sort of MACD line flattens out, we obviously are clearly oversold, I wouldn't be surprised to see us getting back. And you can also see that the Bollinger upper and lower band will start coming together, and we'll continue to trade in this channel, which we originally identified as 700 to 800, and we'll continue to get up there again. So again, guys, congratulations if you took that trade, if you added to your positions in the 600s, if you got in at 695, which we called on the channel yesterday. It's just been solid, guys. So I'm Tesla long, nothing to worry about. And we mentioned too, this wasn't a pump and dump type of stock. There was plenty of consolidation and holding key levels in Tesla. Even despite earnings that didn't even meet potential, we still got a retracement back to almost 900. So there's plenty of space here. And just so you guys know too, this is my TradingView platform. This is called the volume profile. You may see this, you may wonder like all these things on my charts. I do want to explain this just briefly. This helps you understand who's hurting. Okay, when I say who's hurting, this is telling me the volume that has traded. And this red line here is basically, sort of drawn out as what we call the POC, the point of control, which is where most of the shares have traded. And so if you're trading normally above this line, that typically says that the stock is bullish and that the longs are in control. If you're trading below this line, that typically means, right, if the majority of the shares are traded, that most people are probably hurting and the shorts are in control. And so if you look at today, or yesterday, excuse me, you can see that, right, that a lot of the longs you got in, right, closed more or less positive. And then the same thing here is that the longs essentially were down in the morning, and then they essentially have rebounded and they're more or less flat. And so just so you guys know, the point of control will help you understand is, where's the stock trading? Is it more to the long side, the bullish side? We also talk about the fast moving SMA line. It sort of tells you the very short behavior of the stock. And so obviously if we're trading above it, again, it's a bullish sign as well. And, you can obviously look at the RSI and whatever indicator you're comfortable with. So, great stock. I'm very happy with the performance of Tesla. And like I said, there could be, other levels that we can identify later in the week, but I don't really care. I'm more interested in the 775 as the next major resistance level for Tesla. And it's just been incredible how much the stock moved. And, again, going back to that slow and grindy, guys, like we went from, 800s last week all the way down to 620. I mean, just talk about flushing people out quick. And that was awesome. And that was good. Okay. Palantir, I'd say it's probably like the weakest out of all the stocks that we've covered. 2750 was a key level that we had to hold. It was our strong buy zone, and same thing, we should in theory change that now to a actual resistance, strong resistance. because we kind of got there yesterday, we got rejected, and then you can clearly see today we traded as high as 28, we failed, and we just never were able to really retrace the 2750. Okay, so yesterday I called a high of 2750, got to 2746. Today we couldn't get there, so it was the weakest one. It wasn't positive. We're still down for today. I'm not worried about it by no means, guys. We'll get through 2750. We'll get back above the 50 in no time. Let this consolidate. It's low volume today. I'm not worried about it. I love seeing the RSI on the oversold. Just pick up your shares. Let the the MACD flatten out. We should be right back up there in the 30s in no time. So what I see is major resistance will be 2750, 2950, and then you can see here, we got up to right here, $30.50. Okay, so it's going to be the 2750. It's going to be this level here at 2950. And then you could argue, I guess, the 30.50 would be the next resistance. Okay, and when we say resistance, we're looking at as long as we're closing above that resistance, then it's fair to say that that could be potential support. But ideally, we'd like to see a bounce on it at least a couple times. Mara today was just a gap fill play. We had major Bitcoin dump, and we came back today and essentially filled the gap between the Monday and essentially where we closed yesterday. And so Bitcoin was up today about 3% as the time of the recording of this video. And you can see Mara gained back 17%. And so we had this upper resistance at $40. You can see here that there's this, previous support here, which was at 37. Today was acting now as resistance. And so I'm not personally involved in Bitcoin. I really have no interest in it. I did mention I had Mara back at 1585 back here, which ended up being the bottom for the stock. But I day trade and I was out of it before the end of the day. So me personally, I get involved in Mara and start DApp playing around 25, and then my go heavy zone is right here aligned with the 50. Okay, so this could simply, yes, it's a gap fill, but could also be a dead cat bounce. Like I mentioned Tesla, where we had consolidation and we held the key levels in the 800s. You can see that Mara really was I was just waiting for this to fade, and we finally got that, and now we're just got a gap fill, but it could also just be a dead cat bounce. So always you want to look for buying really heavy at least around the 50-day. If not, maybe the anchored VWAP, which won't happen. I don't see this going back to 13, but definitely the $20. And so like yesterday I mentioned, DAB play at 24.5, and then you can just add at the 50-day around 22. Okay, for Mara. And same thing with Riot. Riot was up about 5%. And so we identified a resistance here at around $60. Didn't quite get there today. And again, we just sort of traded sideways, even though we're up 5%, and we did fill in the gap from where we closed yesterday and then where we opened and where we're trading now. So you can see we're trading below the SMA line. And like I said, it's a constant rejection of these prices. So the $60 clearly been an upper resistance, and you can tell from the candles that we're definitely getting a lot of selling pressure. And so same thing here is I would DAP play, small size at around $40. And ultimately my go heavy sort of all in for Riot would be around $25. Okay, so again guys, just keep in mind these aren't holding key levels. Shorts are waiting for these things to fade, and the day they fade they jump in, and then this is just, like I said, a little bounce, and I expect that this will continue to fade back into the 50. If it continues up, I'm still not interested. Okay, so you want to get interested when you're getting a serious discount, and you can argue that off the 20-day it'd be $40, which is why we identified that as a DAP play, where you just do a small portion of shares. And then of course the last one, which is probably the most disappointing I think for most people, is this hype play. And I mentioned I sent a sort of a tweet out on Sunday that this was going to be catching a lot of people on the wrong side. And so Monday I discussed that I was short biased going pre-market, and then I was short biased post-market when the news was finally announced. And so yeah, you could argue there is this gap fill that needs to happen at some point, but at this point there's just people getting out, right? They've ridden, they're profit taking, they've made 500% returns, which was when I saw this thing back at $13, it was just incredible run. And so I was expecting that the level I would get involved with was right here at 35, right? That's the key levels right here, and we closed right above that, but we couldn't hold it today. We just sold off. And so when it sells off, guys, it's going to want to, first thing do is it wants to bounce off its 50 days. So it's definitely looks like 22 would be the first support that I would be looking for. And then, like I said, you could potentially risk, I just think 22, maybe to $20. I just don't see this thing going back to the teens. I mean, that's a steal. You're going to be an owner of Lucid Motors, which we know is coming out with their cars. And like I said, I'm not a short bias on the company. I just mentioned I'm a day trader, so I'm just looking at where's everyone stuck and, you know, where's the market going to go. Of course, it's going to sell off on the news. And so just, you know, just to be clear again, $22 is definitely an area of where I'd be interested in buying CCIV. Couldn't hold this level here, so we're trading below the 20-day, and so it's definitely a bearish signal. And you can see now our momentum is now shifted to negative. So I expect to continue to see negative momentum until we get to about $22. So again, guys, if you're long and you haven't profit taked on CCIV, I'm sorry. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we thought 35 would hold, and if it doesn't, you got to just take what the market gives you. And sometimes you're on the wrong side of the trade, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mentioned that, you know, we talked about selling covered calls. That is something I'm going to constantly, you know, mention to you guys, is if you're bag holding any stock and you have 100 shares, look at Friday's expiration, look at the price that you're comfortable with selling it at, and if it's your break-even price, there's nothing wrong with that, and sell a covered call. You know, find that price and sell a call and make, you know, 100, 200, 50 cents, $50, whatever it is. Might as well make some money while you're bag holding. And I am going to do a little bonus stock today. I do want to show you guys something that I thought was really cool. So let's do SQ. There's a setup that I actually like a lot, and if you want to know more, go back to Qualcomm, QCOM, when it came out with its earnings. It was, I saw this play and I was like, I know what this wants to do. And so keep in mind, guys, a lot about what I talk about isn't because I'm some, you know, person that can read the future, right? It's just a lot of many hours of trading, watching charts. Doesn't mean you're clicking buttons and you're, you know, trigger happy. It means you're studying charts and you're recognizing patterns. And so if you look at Qualcomm did the same thing, right? So you basically sell, and you're trading at, you know, whatever, and you sell on the earnings play, and then you try to come back, right? And then you sell off again. And so there's a support level here that is, let's say 242 for Square. And then you can see that it comes back up. It almost touches this SMA, but it fades. And then so if you're short bias, what happens is the algos push this up. So you're actually down and you're, you know, maybe potentially forced to cover. But the nice thing about this setup is, guess what? By 5 o'clock, which is 8 a.m. if you're watching this Eastern time, guess what? You have a triple top, maybe even a quadruple, because you have this one back here. So in Qualcomm too, you clearly, guys, in pre-market, why it's important to, you know, do your homework before you trade. 252 is clearly a top for the stock. Okay, and so with 252 clearly beside, this is where you would short. Okay, now if let's say you missed that move, right? So you missed the initial fade, which by the way could have got you about 10 points. Okay, well then you can also then what? You could essentially scalp short this high, right? One of these candles high. You can do this candle, and you can trade it right at the high of this SMA line. Okay, and risk 25-50 cents. And the way that this chart pattern works, okay, is you have this triple top, clear top, and it fades. And then, of course, it just fades in the first 15 minutes and it continues to fade. And then what happens is it actually rebounds itself and closes above the open price. And I believe in Qualcomm, it actually continued higher. But in this case, we are in a weaker market, especially with technology. So we did manage to rebound off of the lows. And then we kind of sold off and now we're trading sideways, right? But you can see that level here, right? The key level here was 245 as a top. And then you can see here that we had a lot of support here at the 243, 242. So people are constantly trying to find the bottom and they're getting chopped up. And then once you see the confirmation and you see the engulfing candle, which clearly engulfs this red candle on the 15-minute chart, like I said, you could have easily got 5 to 10 points on this move here. Okay, so again, look for that clear resistance level. You can short from that level and you can risk and then cover 5-10 points, whatever your profit strategy is. And then if you're going for a long, look for the engulfing candle. So you could have definitely come in here and then just essentially, risked again 25-50 cents, whatever your risk management plan is. And you can also tell in the RSI we were clearly oversold. Okay, so 45 minutes they dump the stock and then they pick it back up. Okay, so Square, again, guys, great. These are great companies, and you can see that we got a bounce off, and we're going to close over the 50-day for today. All right, guys, I hope that's helpful. As always, if you enjoy this video, please do hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.